Crew, Andy Hodge and Peter Reid whip it up here, really getting out long, the power on, and now finally New Zealand go in lane number 4. The lane order, there's South Africa in lane number 1. Greece are in 2, Peter Reid, Andy Hodge from Great Britain, lane number 3, New Zealand in 4, France in 5, the United States of America in lane number 6. Let's not discount Greece there in 2. They've shown pretty good form throughout the 2009 World Cup season.
Yeah, there's always a good track record for twins in pair rowing, and the Greek twins here, Guntoulas, are proving themselves now. They're really coming through very well. 24 years old.
They're out to half a length. Greece in lane number 2, almost like the pacemakers going, taking the cruise out to 1,000 meters. Now look, New Zealand half a length over Great Britain. So is it for New Zealand to go to 1,000, kill off the British attack here? Great Britain have come down into their rhythm. They're long and they're loose. New Zealand in the all-black strip in lane number 4, taking more strokes per minute, really whipping it along, keeping that raid up here, and with that they're getting great boat speed. They're going away from Great Britain every single stroke. They've now got a length over the British crew. That is ominous now for Andy Hodge and Peter Reid, and somewhere on the bank on one of those bikes, their coach Jürgen Grobler. Through the first quarter, 500 down, 1,500 to go, and New Zealand have got clear water. They've broken away from Great Britain now. Very, very critical that the British crew have to really adjust to this. They have to fight on, because once you get too far back, you start getting the waves and the wake from New Zealand over into their lane, and that's going to upset the British rhythm. And that is what New Zealand are trying to do. But ominously for Great Britain here, they're also being pushed on by Greece in 2.
Gary, at 40 strokes a minute, New Zealand are really taking a bit of a risk. They've gone out very, very fast. They're up at 42. They're still on 40 now. That is very, very high. Great Britain at 37, but it could be, it'll give them enough of a cushion. But come the last 250 metres, that's when Great Britain will start to fight back.
So Great Britain now through 750 metres and about a quarter of a length boat lead of clear water between New Zealand and the British crew. Great Britain now know what they have to do. This is all about chasing one boat, chasing New Zealand. Eric Murray, Hamish Bond, 2 times winner at the 2009 World Cup Series, Lucerne and Munich. It has to be said, though, looking at them in isolation, Dan, New Zealand looking pretty smart there. They've
come down to 37 strokes a minute now, and it is cruising. It's moving very nicely, no check in their boat, and it's given an awful lot of work to do for the British pair. Hodge, a great stroke, a great finisher, and they did it beautifully in the fall last year, but they've got a lot to do. That's 2 lengths.
So they're out and clear through the 1,000 metres, and Andy Hodge and Peter Reid now have really got a lot to do in this third 500. No use waiting till the last 500 sprint here. Really have to start to step up and push on. The early race leaders, Greece in lane number 2, have gone backwards now. Great Britain off through them. And there comes the push from Andy Hodge, Peter Reid, Leander Club, Molesey Boat Club pushing on hard, but it looks though as though New Zealand's Eric Murray and Hamish Bond are just containing them right now.
Well, they're at 35 strokes a minute. They're still 2 strokes a minute less than New Zealand, so they are moving well. They've checked the advance of the New Zealand pair, but I do feel now that New Zealand's come to a point where they can actually take a bit of a breather, sit there, moving along very quickly, very sweetly at 37.
So inside 750 metres, no doubt about it though, Great Britain are starting to come back here. If there's one thing Hodge and Reid know, is that they are Olympic champions. They've done this before. They rode through the Australians in that final last year in Beijing in the Coxless 4. They have to do something bigger and better today. They have the reserves, they have the experience, but do they have the mental fight in them? Because that is what they're going to need as they come towards the 1,500 metre mark. This is the final of the men's Coxless pairs, and New Zealand are leading, but surely now as the angle comes around, the British crew have started their attack. And indeed they have. They've got the overlap now. Surely you've got to think that Great Britain can take a length out of New Zealand. The New Zealand crew had half a length of clear water at the halfway mark. They've got 50 strokes remaining, and you wouldn't bet down against Great Britain.
That was a very, very good move from Great Britain. They upped it just there before the mark, and they've really pulled right back. That's put a challenge on it, forced the New Zealanders to go up to 38 strokes a minute, and now they're beginning to look a little bit anxious, a little bit ragged.
Murray and Bond have already beaten Reed and Hodge 2 years ago at the World Championships in the Coxless 4. So there is such a grudge match between these two crews here going on. It's now down to 2 boats, it's down to New Zealand, and it's down to Great Britain matching stroke for stroke as they come towards the 215-metre mark. And New Zealand now have edged out again and moved out to clear water. There was an almighty push through 500 for Great Britain, but it hasn't been enough so far. Less than 25 strokes remaining, and New Zealand continue to hold off Great Britain, and Great Britain throw everything at New Zealand's Eric Murray and Hamish Bond. They're inside now 150 metres.
Unbelievable how New Zealand responded to that attack, but Great Britain keep on coming, they've kept on coming. New Zealand seem quite capable of doing this very high rating stuff, but they've still got a length, they're going to be clear.
So inside 100 now, New Zealand rowing up for the gold medal. The World Championships is in the palm of their hand. It's gold to New Zealand, it is silver to Great Britain. And what a fabulous race, and both crews there over the line in bronze. Greece, what a race for New Zealand. They came under enormous pressure at the 1500 metre mark. They didn't waver, they kept true to their plan. They saw off Great Britain. New Zealand are the world champions for 2009.
Well, that was a much better performance from Great Britain than earlier in the season. Set by Cracknell and Pinsent back in 2002 in Seville. So these guys are moving fast, they've got a nice tailwind behind them. Fast times, very fast crews.
France there really didn't make any kind of show, finishing in 4th position. New Zealand though never wavered at all, came under incredible pressure. Up to the line, New Zealand punch the air as Great Britain go over the line.